Have you ever stared at a face on a magazine cover and suddenly felt the world slow down? Has a single glance ever made you pause for a moment, asking yourself, who is this woman and what journey has she been through? What if beauty isn't just what you see, but the result of a storm weathered with grace? What if true progress isn't about drastic change, but about walking straight, step by step, toward the light? Today, we'll talk about one moment, one cover, one journey. When Dilraba Dilmurat stands on the cover of Harper's Bazaar, China, January 2026, is she merely the face of a magazine? Or is she telling her life story without a single word? There are rare moments when an image is not just seen, but felt. When a single glance can stop the flow of thoughts, make the world fall silent for a moment, and then leave a lasting emotional resonance. The cover of Harper's Bazaar, China's January 2026 issue is one such moment. And at its center stands a name that no longer needs a lengthy introduction, Dilraba Dilmurat. She does not appear with a dramatic explosion, nor with a smile that tries to charm. Dilraba arrives with an almost silent calm, yet that is precisely where her appeal becomes undeniable. Her gaze pierces the page, as if conveying an unspoken message about time, about journey, about strength that grows slowly but is unshakable. This is not just a magazine cover. It is an emotional statement about a woman who has come a long way, weathering storm after storm, and now stands at a point where she no longer needs to prove who she is. January always carries strong symbolism. It is not just the beginning of the calendar, but also a space for reflection, a place where the past and future intersect. In the world of fashion, the January issue is a blank canvas, the first breath of a year yet to be written. When Harper's Bazaar China chose Dilraba as the face of 2026, the decision felt like more than just an editorial. It felt like a statement. Dilraba represents a kind of progress that is not rushed. For her, true progress is always a journey taken at the right pace. It is not an instant leap, nor a deliberate transformation for the sake of the spotlight. Growth is a clear process, step by step toward the light, sometimes slow, sometimes exhausting, but always conscious of the direction. She is like a captain in the middle of a stormy sea. The waves are high, the wind blows mercilessly, the dark sky obscures her view. But she is not swept away. She does not lose control. With a steady hand, she anchors her course to the distance, to a point that may not yet be clearly visible, but is fully believed in. Direction is conviction, not reaction. Dilraba's journey has never been completely smooth. Behind the glitz and glamour, there are quiet phases that are rarely talked about. The pressure of expectations, the demand for perfection, and the public spotlight that never truly fades. But that is precisely where the process of purification takes place. She purifies herself in the midst of the storm. Every criticism becomes a mirror. Every exhaustion becomes a pause to understand herself. She renews her wings during the journey, not by leaving behind who she used to be, but by strengthening it. Self-control hides extreme passion, precision reveals poetic calm, and clear determination is always placed on a romantic foundation. It is this combination that makes her impervious to time. This cover captures that essence with emotional precision. There is no noisy luxury. There is no forced narrative. Only presence, whole, mature, and self-aware. The clothes Dilraba wears in this edition are not just beautiful. They speak. The bold cuts imply discipline and control, while the flowing silhouettes reveal inner freedom. The texture of the fabric seems to carry layers of emotion, steadfastness, vulnerability, and hope that never fades. Each editorial feels like a dialogue between body and space. Light is not used merely to flatter, but to shape the atmosphere. Shadows are not present as a cover, but as part of the story. Fashion, in this context, becomes the language of the soul, Dilraba's way of speaking without words. She does not follow seasonal trends. She stands above time. What she displays is not what is popular, but what is right. There is a special depth to Dilraba's expression, a depth that only those who have lived long enough in the spotlight without losing their way possess. Her face holds time, years of hard work, difficult decisions, loneliness that cannot always be shared. None of this appears as a burden, but rather as layers of meaning. She does not offer an easy smile, nor does she hide behind a cold distance. She chooses to be somewhere in between, honest, calm, and fully aware. Her gaze seems to say, "I have arrived here, and I know why." Editorial after editorial flows like a visual poem about transformation. In one frame, she appears fragile yet brave. In another, she is present with mature and measured strength. There is no contradiction, only balance. In an exclusive interview, Dilraba speaks in a tone far from sensational. There are no grand claims, no heroic narratives. What there is reflection, about learning to listen to oneself, about understanding when to move forward and when to stay silent. She realizes that being strong doesn't always mean holding everything together alone. Sometimes, strength comes from the courage to be honest about one's limits. For her, 2026 is about clarity, about making conscious choices, about letting go of things that no longer align and holding on to what truly matters. She no longer chases after many things at once. She chooses a direction, and in that choice, there is a calmness that is hard to replicate. It's no surprise that this cover quickly became a topic of conversation. But the sensation it left behind was different. It didn't rely on a momentary shock. It worked slowly, seeping in. Many looked at it repeatedly, not to find details of the outfit, but to feel the atmosphere it created. This is the kind of work that leaves an echo, not because it is loud, but because it is honest. Dilraba once again proves that true influence does not always come from the loudest voice, but from consistent steadfastness. Ultimately, Dilraba takes the cover of Harper's Bazaar China. January 2026 is a story about a journey in tune with time. About a woman who understands that storms are not enemies, but processes. That direction is more important than speed. That light does not always have to be pursued. Sometimes it appears when we walk correctly. Dilraba walks without haste, with confidence that needs no proof. She doesn't just open the year 2026, she illuminates it with calmness, clarity, and mature romanticism. And when the last page is closed, what remains is not just an image, but a feeling, a quiet conviction that the right journey will always find its own light. Perhaps this is what makes this moment so powerful. Dilraba does not scream for attention. She does not rush to arrive. She walks, with a clear direction, with self-control that holds passion, precision that breeds calmness, and determination that stands on a romantic foundation. Like a captain in the midst of a storm, she doesn't fight the waves. She purifies herself within them and renews her wings along the way. If you feel something from this story, don't forget to like this video, share it, and write in the comments section which part of Dilraba's journey touched you the most. See you in the next story.